Now 133.18.
Love in her bosom,
Huh?
hurt with jagged
Yeah,
edges.
that's right. Yeah. Crying of anguish, moaned at every step within with pain, crying, now, perhaps his voice will cease. Kalam, Velam, see, all that he says is exactly now, precisely. You see. Now, perhaps his voice will cease forever, even by some vague touch of breast. Sometimes her eyes looked round as if their orbs might see the dim and dreadful gods approach, the approach of death of Yama. She says, so there is a kind of a preciseness, and that preciseness will come only from the point of view of looking at the duration when Narad made that statement.
Right, sir.
Otherwise, it is impossible. Where Kala, Kshana, Muhurta, this is what Vyasa is saying.
Right, sir.
Time, place, everything is fixed already there, you see.
Right.
And then the death will occur. In fact, there is a little dilemma. I don't know how we can figure it out. The death occurs here
Right, sir.
at this point, you see. Satyavan has passed from her embrace, Savitri, and Savitri is now following the spirit of Satyavan behind.
Right, sir.
And then later on, we have a little description which is important. 2.4, 135, 2.4.
Then death.
Yeah. She says, then doth the king leaned boundless down, as leans night, etc. The dim and awful Godhead rose erect. He leaned down, he picks up the soul of Satyavan, and then stands erect and moves forward.
In Vyasa Savitri, the same description is he forcefully removes the soul.
That's right,
Yes, sir.
forcefully remove that.
Right.
But this description occurs when the earlier event has taken place. He has passed away from her embrace.
Right,
So
sir.
when has the actual death taken place?
Right, sir.
See, actual death has taken place only when death has leaned down and picked up his soul and takes it with him, you see, takes it along with him. That is the moment when the real death has occurred, you see. So if you now start counting the timing, so it becomes a little difficult proposition also.
Right, sir.
Which muhurta, which time, which kshana, you see.
Right.
Now, this is the kshana, but
Right, sir.
this is the kshana. In fact, only when the soul of Satyavan is picked up in this way by death. In fact, this is what we have got here also. You see, this has happened now. The dim and awful Godhead rose erect from his brief stooping to his touch on earth, forsaking the poor mold that did clay. Another luminous Satyavan arose. That is the greatness of his death.
Right, sir.
In fact, the death has occurred. What has done the death really done? He has revealed the luminous Satyavan.
Right, sir.
Death has in fact revealed the luminous Satyavan. And so when you say he is dead, only when the luminous Satyavan stands in front of you, then you will say he is dead. He is
Right.
dead to the past, gone.
Right, sir.
Now it is that luminous Satyavan who has to come back and again remain luminous here.
Right.
That is the work which Savitri has to do afterwards, you see.
Right.
But from the point of view of timing, I will put it this way, that the entire 12 months, etc., which is 12, 15 months are given to them, this day returning, he must die.
Right.
All those are all right, but the real precise physical sciences would call it, the duration will be from the moment the Narad has uttered that thing, that this day returning Satyavan must die,
And is rising erect.
till death stands erect and luminous Satyavan is shown up. It is that
Moment which correlates.
that which constitutes 1 year.
Right, sir.
It is that
Right.
which constitutes 1 year.
Right, sir. So let's say even if you go into which Muhurat it is,
Yeah,
given that in a whole day there are 24, 30 Muhurats
Yeah.
which we are supposed to have.
yeah, yeah.
And I think the Muhurats are supposed to start with the particular day which it is. Either it is Sunday, Monday. So
Sunrise, it depends on sunrise.
sunrise, but also the Muhurat also depends on the which planet's day it is. So that is
Yeah.
the, I think, first Muhurat.
Yeah.
It starts something like that, or maybe
Yeah.
I am. We need
No,
to check it out.
it is counted from the sunrise.
Yes, sir, from the sunrise, but the first Muhurat is of which planet? Because these Muhurats also.
No, that I don't. That will depend upon the season and timing. and all
Exactly,
that
sir.
piece.
That
So I
depends
can't. From that we can't say
Exactly,
that.
sir.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
planets?
Yeah,
Muhurat,
what are the planetary position for the death of Satyavan?
Right.
That is an interesting question.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know whether we can really locate the planetary position at the time of the death.
Right,
you
sir.
see. Yeah.
But couldn't it be when all the planets are in the same house?
Possibly.
Because
Possibly.
something of that event, even astrologically,
Yeah,
needs
possibly.
to.
In fact, that is
align.
important.
Yes, sir.
According to our astrological formulations,
Yes,
there
sir.
are 12 planets, there are 12 houses
Right, sir.
in the horoscope.
Right, sir.
Each house, 12 seasons, 12 months, you see, all these
Yes,
things,
sir.
12 months, everything that way connected, you see, is true. It's possibly, and all the planets are in one single house
Right, sir.
when this important event takes place.
And that house possibly has to be the 10th house, sir.
10th house.
It's the house of karma, you can say, or the
I see. Uh-huh.
where even if astrologically when we see,
Uh.
that is the point where sun has to be right on top of the head
I see.
from the astrological cycles perspective. So it's the 10th house.
So it is the 10th house it happens.
It should happen, sir.
Possible, I see.
All the planets should come together
Uh.
in the 10th house.
Yeah, but I will say that in this when it happened, how it happened, I will connect it directly with this particular event. The moment Narad uttered
Right, sir.
the death of Satyavan, he must die. That is the starting point.
Right, sir.
From that point onward, till the luminous Satyavan arises in the operate.
Right, sir.
That is the full span of time.
So even that moment
Yeah.
would also, one can say, is actually the moment when death is to be in that hour is to be defeated.
Yeah.
So then the hold of the planets also over the life
Yeah.
would loosen, because I mean since death's hold is also dependent on this ministry of planets and all
Okay.
these other
Yeah,
things on
yeah,
life.
yeah.
So even that event has to indicate a kind of a new epiphany from the perspective of how even the fate would henceforth deal with the earth. So even the whole.
Well, I mean, you are suggesting that would
government will change.
would the planets have a role to play in the death of Satyavan?
Exactly,
I
but
mean, are
after
they
that,
determining the death of Satyavan?
yes, sir. And after that, what happens to them? Because the government changes, really speaking, in a way.
Yeah.
This is the point when
Yeah.
the entire the governance and the government of
Yeah.
the earth
Yeah.
would alter.
Yeah, but I will not give that much of weightage to that point. See, look, I mean, essentially, if Satyavan's death is to be governed with the planetary positions,
Right, sir.
it means that Savitri, who says that I am stronger than the laws of nature, I am
Right,
more powerful, I know how to dismiss all
The
those
planetary
things.
positions only determine the conditions and opportunity
No,
for
they
some
don't
doing
even
something.
determine, they only indicate.
Exactly, sir. Indicate the
They
opportunity
indicate,
of doing
which
something.
means that they are not deterministic,
Right, sir.
and that determination can be overruled by some other higher power.
Right, sir.
And that is what Savitri does.
Exactly, sir.
Yeah. I will change the fate. If it is fated, I know how to change the fate also. That is what Savitri asserts, you see.
Right, sir.
So, it is not that the planets are going to govern the death of Satyavan. Well, it is indicated and it has to happen also.
Right, sir.
But ultimately, the power of Savitri, her soul, it is that which is going to mold the course of events. In fact, that is exactly what happens when Savitri is following death, and death is not at all yielding to her demand that she must have her Satyavan back for the soul of the earth, and is not at all yielding. Then she enters into her house of meditation, and there she sees a huge, big, bright golden fire burning there, and a constant yajna being performed there, and the yajna is being performed by none else but the divine and his spouse, the supramental being and the supramental force. They together performing the constant yajna and making fire offerings constantly. And when she sees that happening in her soul, then she gathers all the power in her soul to counter death. And the entire course of events from that point onward changes. In fact, she becomes now the leader of the march.
Right, sir. Which was earlier being led by the mortal and
Yeah. First is spirit of Satyavan, then behind him is death, behind him is Savitri spirit,
Right,
Savitri. And from behind, she has become the leader of the march. She is now holding the entire control of the sequence of events from that point onward.
right, sir.
So I will say that the planetary positions and all that thing, they are indicative, but then there are interventions of higher force also which can alter things, and that is exactly what is happening here.
Right, sir.
In the cosmic scheme, they have their own play, and they will function in that manner. But when some other force enters in, they also become kind of helpless. You see.
Right, sir.
But this is an important point that all the planets have come into a single house. You see. Yeah.
And probably 10th house, sir.
Huh?
And probably 10th house.
10th house, I see.
Yes, sir.
But any significance of 10th house
So 10th house is supposed to be the karma, house of the karma,
of action?
of action, sir.
Uh-huh.
And this is the moment by one, there is this line which says, by one single great action, something like that, she would change the entire time.
Yeah, yeah.
So it should indicate,
Yeah,
be related to action
Yeah.
primarily.
Yeah, but then you see that is that makes me still little uneasy. I mean, is it the positions of the stars which are going to govern the course of events, or it is the force of Savitri's soul which is going to do that?
It's again, sir. I mean, it is the same thing as the fate. Fate ultimately also at some level is the choice of the soul, and even the star's position.
No, fate is not necessarily the choice of the soul. Fate is independent of. See, you have got fate, you have got destiny, all those things are there. But between nature's working and the higher working, there is also the choice of the individual's soul.
Right, sir.
Fate is essentially governed by the cosmic forces in the cosmic operation.
Right, sir.
There can be, of course, the higher intervention also.
Right, sir.
But ultimately, it is the soul's will which really can change things here.
So there's a line which Ashwapati says in the Book of Fate, which is again, which was what I was trying to suggest.
Yeah.
So it would be in 106.
Is then fate governed by that you are talking about?
Yes, sir. No, sir. There is a very specific line which it's the last line of that particular.
See this one, you are talking about this one? 112.25.
No, sir. It's in 106.
Oh, no, but you see this one?
112 point.
112. We'll see that also. 112.25.
Yes, sir.
O king, thy fate is a transaction done.
Right, sir. This is what you were referring to, sir.
Yeah.
Between that soul also.
Man can accept his fate, he can refuse.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
So he says something like
106,
perhaps
106.
0.89.
89.
Yes, 106.89, sir.
Perhaps the blindness of our will is fate. Yeah, okay, yeah.
So now, in a way, what this really means is that, I mean, the will is there of that kind, but its blindness manifests itself as fate.
Yeah. Yeah, but then he's talking from a human point of view. In fact,
Yes, sir,
his
the blindness is of the human part. The will is from
his
the.
most pertinent query is here, 112.1, rather 2. Yeah, 112.1.
Right, sir.
Is then the spirit ruled
By an outward
by an
world.
outward world? He's asking Narad directly.
Yes, sir.
Is there no remedy within? But what is fate if not the spirit's will after long time fulfilled by cosmic force? Is it? So it is the spirit's will.
Yes, sir. Ultimately, I mean, these are sequences, if you see from the larger perspective,
Yeah.
of the ultimate purpose which the creation needs to fulfill.
Hmm.
That will of wherein the divine within the matter
Mhm.
takes possession of the body ultimately, and then consciously wills each and every action.
Yeah.
So from that purpose, in the intermediate, all the sequences of wills which are there
Yeah.
have to move towards that direction only.
No, no, no. You see, essentially, when does your will become powerful enough? When it can be stronger than the cosmic forces
Right, sir?
in the cosmic operation.
Right, sir?
Essentially, there are cosmic things. There is the individual soul. There is the transcendental determination.
So this we are saying when it is not blind,
Yes,
when the
exactly.
will is not blind.
Yeah.
But when it is blind,
then you are governed by nature.
yes, sir. But again, that will, our own higher self.
But then you're not able to see it. You're not able to
Yeah,
have
exactly.
contact
That
with
is
it
there.
at all.
That
So in that sense, it is ineffective.
Yes, sir. That is there. I
Yeah.
mean, our conversation with that will directly is not there.
Yes, exactly.
It's not a conscious convo regarding that. I mean, it's very interesting that it is towards the end of that 1 year. Savitri starts her yoga.
Yeah.
I mean, what was really the full year she was doing,
Yeah.
and what was the necessity of
Yeah.
that 1 year.
Yeah.
What we can maybe best say is that it is the process of her sorrow self,
Yeah.
of her grief self,
Yeah.
to fall silent.
Yeah.
And you suggested that she, being human,
Yeah.
had all the human elements in her,
That's right.
and they had to work it out.
Yeah.
The full
Yeah.
ransom to grief had to be
Absolutely.
paid.
Full ransom had to be paid for
Paid.
that. Absolutely.
One-
See, after all, she is all right, divine, etc. Okay, but she has taken the human birth, the mortal birth, and the entire charge of mortality is there with her. She cannot just dismiss it off, and therefore the yogi is taking elaborate precaution to present the human aspect of Savitri's relationship with her husband. Till she realizes at once that tomorrow my husband will die, and then when she realizes at that point, then she, in a kind of a hurry or whatever you want to call it, gets focused on how to tackle the situation. How to tackle the situation.
Left to her humanity, she was helpless.
Helpless. She didn't even realize, okay, sorry. But then when she now weighs all the pros and cons, like she is swaying back and forth, grief and happiness, joy in the company of her husband, grief in his absence, tomorrow he's going to die. So when she is now swinging back and forth constantly, then suddenly she realizes the magnitude of the whole problem. And she is helpless, she does not know what to do, in what way, manner she is going to face death tomorrow. She has absolutely no clue at all, because she is still human at that time. And at that time, she becomes so much concerned with the entire issue that ultimately her grief itself becomes a calm.
It also surrenders, basically.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. That is the ripe moment for Savitri to get into the yogic mode.
Receive the instruction.
Yogic mode. Then it starts from that point onward. Yeah. Yes, you're saying something?
I was just to receive the instruction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we can summarize the whole sequence of maybe events.
Yeah.
I mean, the way it's gone, and the fact that her yoga actually even though it stretches into 7 cantos out
Yeah.
here and a lot of pages.
Yeah.
But in terms of time, it's a very short period of time.
Yes. Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
something which is very.
Now, of course, you can ask a question if it is only a question of a few weeks or few days, or we don't know that also. If it is a question of only a short duration like that, how could Savitri do such a tremendous yoga in such a short duration?
Right, sir.
I mean, that is a kind of a natural question.
Yes, sir. Given that she was human after all,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
body was human.
Well, I mean, it is not that Savitri is doing yoga for the first time in this birth. All that accumulated power which is there in her soul, birth after birth,
And the body has also been
body is
prepared over
there,
1,000
prepared for
years.
that. So that is already present in the soul. And it is because of that, that quickness, that speed is what you see here.
Right, sir.
In other words, in our ordinary language, she has accumulated such tremendous punya, such tremendous merit that her yoga really moves swiftly, as if on an eagle's wing, as you see.
Right, sir.
It is the accumulated force of our psychic beings receiving the divine power through the ages, through birth after birth, which has now come forward fully in this particular birth of hers,
Right,
which
sir.
is now ripe to meet death. And therefore, those few days are perhaps enough for her to perform whatever is necessary to be done in that context, you see.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
Now, sir, even let's say if we want to discuss the real time frames from
Yeah.
this, from
Yeah.
a consistency of the time
Yeah,
perspective,
yeah,
we have in Vyasa Savitri that 18 years was the time which Ashwapati spent
yeah.
on
On
his
doing
yoga,
yoga,
on
tapasya.
on tapasya.
Yeah,
And here we have almost 3 cantos in the first book, 15 in the second, and 4 in the third.
yeah.
So that would imply 15 plus 4, 19.
Well, I will
and-
put in all Ashwapati Yoga could be said to be in 22 cantos.
Right, sir. 22 cantos.
Yeah.
So this again we would say would be 18 years per se if you
Yeah, well, 18 years if you want to reckon that way, if you want to see from that angle.
from the point that he
Yes.
actually started pursuing
Yes, yes, yeah.
the Divine Mother.
That's right. Yeah.
In
yeah.
the sense, sir.
Yes, yes.
Where
That's
he
right.
became conscious of this
So
necessity.
we can say that you are doing all that yoga for 18 years.
Right, sir.
Yes, if you want to relate with that, you see.
Right, sir.
But again, Ashwapati as an incarnate, he is not coming here for the first time. He has been coming here again and again. He has been doing yoga. So it is also running over a long
Right, sir. Previous life
set
and
of
all that.
lives. you
Right,
see.
sir. Right, sir.
Going on, see.
So now let's say those 18 years.
Yeah.
After that 1 year
Yeah.
before Savitri is born,
Yeah.
and after Savitri is born, do we have any indication of at what particular age was Savitri advised to go out to seek for a?
Must be around 20, you see. Normally, you see, the way in which they described Savitri education, Savitri's
The
coming
philosophy,
to youth
sciences.
and all things, maybe around 18, 20 years girl, you see, at that time. She
Okay.
has acquired all the knowledge of the arts and sciences and martial art, everything she is acquiring, you see. So that full
Right.
education is there of a fully grown up girl.
Right, sir.
Also martial arts, driving chariot. In fact, she is driving the chariot and going
Yes,
from
sir.
place
It is
to
very
place. So
interesting. She is
yeah.
herself doing it.
And which is quite understandable when you think of a recent example, Jhansi Ki Rani, you see, Lakshmi.
Yes,
She is riding the horse and fighting the enemy, you see.
Right, sir.
So Savitri doing that thing is perfectly understandable, you see.
Even though they obviously had a choice of not doing it,
Yeah.
still she.
No, no, no. It was not the question of not having a choice or having a choice.
Right, sir.
It was a part of their upbringing to prepare yourself fully for life.
Right, sir. To be independent, to be.
Yeah, but to develop your personality, your individuality, your character, your sabhava. See,
So in that case, we would say Savitri defeated death at the age of 21.
yes, yes, okay,
Because
yeah.
1 year she takes to find this thing,
Her
husband,
partner, yeah.
or then 22 is the age at which she, let's
She
say,
would face death.
face death.
That's right. Yeah,
sir.
around that you can say roughly.
Right, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, you can say that one of the arguments is Satyavan. The death is going to take place when he's about to get married. Or he's going, yeah, he's married.
Right, sir.
If you go by the traditional pattern, see, we have the four ashramas: brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, and then sannyasa.
Right, sir.
And each section is consisting of about 25 years.
Right,
So
sir.
25 years is a period of learning.
Right, sir.
Then you plunge into the household life for 25 years.
Right, sir.
Then you start withdrawing from life from 50 to 75, and then plunge into meditation, into your inner activities like that. So that is it. So in that sense, Satyavan is going to get married. It means that he is reaching about 25 years.
Right, sir. If we go by the traditional way of
25 years, that's
Yes,
right. Which is perfectly understandable from his youth, from his glow and all
Right,
that
sir.
thing. So he'll be around 25 years. Savitri, we can put about the same age, a little earlier than that, that's all.
Right, sir. Right. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, which gives a basic perspective of the time frames.
Time frame, that's right, yeah.
which
It is
is going
true.
in.
Yes,
sir.
it is. I'll put it that way, you see.
Right, sir.
Yeah. And why 25 years? In fact, she argues with Yama, you have come too early. He has not fulfilled himself in life. You are doing something wrong. You are the upholder of the law of nature here. How come you are taking away his soul at this early stage? He has to complete his full cycle of life. Let him live for 100 years and then take away his soul. And not at 25.
Right.
You see. So she is accusing Yama, you are doing something wrong.
If you are going against the dharma.
Yeah, you are yourself going against the law.
And your dharma.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You're Lord of dharma.
Yes, it is true. So I will, your time frame is there. I will say this is around 25. Savitri must be 22, 21. And in fact, that counts well also, you see. Yeah.
Right, sir.
Yeah.